So the $500 video funnel strategy docs are actually inside the program. So if you guys do want the Google Docs, if you guys notice, there's a new portion of the program called the 3 missions. And what I've actually done is I've actually asked a couple of my clients to volunteer their strategy docs that are in my Lean on Laurel program. And so we have a strategy doc for e-com. We've got a strategy doc for brick and mortar. We've got a strategy doc for the coaching space, for a digital product, low ticket offer. So if you guys haven't found your way to the 3 missions, we're going to be talking about the strategy that I call the $500 a month video funnel. And one of the main questions that I get asked a lot is, well, Laurel, I'm a brick and mortar business, or I've got e-com. Will the strategy work for me? This strategy will work for everyone. And that's the thing that I want you guys to start understanding, that there's not that big of a difference between the strategies that e-commerce businesses follow or high ticket coaches follow. It's very, very similar in the way that we're just taking people through a customer journey. And the faster that you guys realize that it has less to do with the buttons that you push and more to do with the messaging, getting in front of the right people at the right time. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, because I know so many people don't have large budgets. Whenever I first started my business, I didn't have a large budget. I made my first and second 6 figures all organically, and then I started doing ads. And so everything that I'm going to teach you guys today are things that I still do today. I did a training not too long ago that I went through how I grew my business to 7 figures using $2 and $5 ads. That is what we're going to learn today. And if you think that you have to have a large budget in order to get to 7 figures, because I hear this all the time, if you want to get to 7 figures, you have to have a large ad budget. Does anyone remember during that training, I showed you guys my ads manager and what that budget was that took me to 7 figures? Anyone want to guess how much ad spend it took for me to get to 7 figures? Does anyone remember? No one remembers? That's okay. Like I said, I'm gonna test you guys. I'm gonna quiz you guys. Yeah, Monica, super close. Monica Wallingford was $1,000 off. She said 26,000. I spent $27,000 to get to 7 figures. A lot less than what a lot of people say. And so here's the thing: as long as you know how to utilize the ad platform, and we're not just talking Facebook ads today. This strategy is something I use on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok. I'm testing some TikTok stuff because it doesn't matter the platform, because a lot of times people are like, well, Facebook ads are not working anymore, so I'm going to go to YouTube, or I'm going to go that. Like if you can't get your offer to convert on Facebook, I guarantee you it's not going to convert anywhere else. It's not the platform's fault. It's us. We have to get better at learning how to put the right message in front of the right people. Because think about this. When we give Facebook $1, all we're doing is paying for the platform to give us an impression, meaning we're paying for it to put our piece of content in front of a certain person. Facebook ads work, and they still work. It is still the most profitable platform for not only me, but for a lot of my colleagues. We talk about this all the time at masterminds. And so there's a lot of misconceptions about, well, Facebook ads don't work anymore. It couldn't be furthest from the truth. It's still one of the best performing platforms. But what we're going to talk about today is my $500 a month video funnel. Okay. Very, very simple. Okay. It starts with 3 pieces of power content. I'm going to spotlight my video so you guys can. It's going to start with 3 pieces of power content. Now, here's the thing. It does not matter whether you have a brick and mortar business, whether you have an e-commerce business, whether you have a high ticket coaching business, or whether you have a digital low ticket product. The strategy is still the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to send cold traffic to these 3 videos. Now, I've got the power content workshop inside the program underneath the power content section. So I'm not going to go into detail about all of the details of the scripts for the power content and all of that. You guys have that. But I have been asked to give you guys a couple of examples over the years. So power content videos, we're going to run those to cold traffic, and we're going to use the objective of a video view campaign. Okay. Now, here's the thing. People are like, well, I don't know what type of power content to do if I have a brick and mortar business. I don't know what type of power content to do if I have a physical product, okay? The key, and it doesn't matter what type of product you have, brick and mortar, high ticket coaching, you have to understand the gap in your marketplace, okay? Now, what does that mean? Now, if you are a coach or a consultant and sell a service-based business, you're going to want these videos to be 3 to 5 minutes long. It takes longer time spent when you're selling a coaching, consulting, or service-based offer that isn't clear off the bat over what people are going to get if they give you money, right? Janice just said at the bottom, I think having a brick and mortar store is easier to run ads to. Abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. You do not have to convince people to buy a slice of pizza. You don't have to convince people that they need to go to the dentist, right? So that is why if you have a brick and mortar store, or if you are selling an e-com product, you can get away with 60-second videos. 60-second videos are fine, okay? But if you are a coach or a consultant or a service-based entrepreneur that offers a service, it takes a heck of a lot more convincing to people that they need our service. Okay? Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? We can get away with 60 seconds whenever we're talking brick and mortar, physical products, that type of thing. But if you are an online entrepreneur that has an online business that sells coaching or consulting or service-based, people are not that willing to part with their money because they're not exactly sure what you're going to get. Okay. So I'll give you a couple examples. So one of my very first clients, his name was Carlos, and he owned a mattress store in Apache Junction, Arizona, which is a little suburb outside of Phoenix. Now, Carlos used to be the manager at a place called Mattress Firm, one of the biggest mattress retailers, right? So whenever I started helping him with his ads, the 3 pieces of power content are the very first thing that I worked with him on. And the very first questions that I asked him were, how is what you're doing filling the gap that Mattress Firm and all of these big box mattress stores are not filling? Okay, so that is the first thing that all of us right now should have in our heads. How does our products or services fill the gap in the marketplace? Whenever I first started my $7 program, there were no other $7 ads coaching programs. I was filling a gap in the marketplace that was full of high ticket ad programs. I saw the gap and the need for a low ticket ads program. How many of you guys see $7 programs now all the time? When I started my $7 program, and Anna could actually attest to this, I got a lot of shit from the coaching space. I got told that no one was ever going to see my value. I went through the ringer. Like, I was the laughing stock for an entire 1.5 years in the coaching space. And it was not a great feeling, but I saw a gap. And so Carlos, as a brick and mortar store owner, he had the gaps. He was competing against all of these big box retailers. And so some of the first things that he told me, I was like, well, tell me something different. Like, what can you do that other mattress store owners can't do? And so again, remember, he was a manager at Mattress Firm, so he knew like the makings of a huge company. And so I never forget, we met at Denny's. He had a Dr. Pepper, I had a coffee, black. I like my coffee black. And he was like, he's like, bring your coffee. He's like, come see, I want to show you something. We walked outside and he had this truck, and it was his personal truck, and it had this vinyl, like Cloud9 mattress written all over it. And he's like, here's the thing. He said, because I am the solo owner, it's like, I don't have any business partners or anything like that. He said, the second that people buy their mattress, I can throw it behind my truck and follow them home and help them get it into their house. How many of you guys have ever ordered a mattress from a mattress store You have to wait for days, and they don't even give you an exact time they're going to show up. They just say, we're going to deliver between 1 to 5, right? That's the first gap that Carlos was filling. Another one, the more that we started talking, was that he started talking about how he quit his job at Mattress Firm because he wanted to spend more time with his family. He had 2 girls that were about to go off to college. And so I was like, ooh, tell me a little bit more about that. And he's like, well, yeah. And then we went to a store. And when we got to the store, it's like this little, like in a strip mall, like just one of those really long, but really narrow stores. And he was like, yeah, he's like, this is all my inventory. And he's like, check this out. He's like, you will not see cheap mattresses here, but these are the expensive mattresses that all of the big retailers carry, but they have to charge $200 to $300 more than me because they have all the overhead. He's like, look at my store. He's like, I'm in a really cheap place in Phoenix. He's like, I have no employees. I have less overhead. So I could actually charge hundreds of dollars less for my product. Again, filling the gap. Okay. So let's talk about e-commerce. And so whenever going back to Carlos. So the power content that we did was those 2 things, plus I had him do another thing talking about his brand story and wanting to spend more time with his girls. Why did I do that? Makes him relatable, right? Makes him real, makes him a person. And so those were the 3 pieces of power content that we did. But what we have to understand is that we have to know how to fill in the gap. Christina, I don't think she's here. She owns a daycare, and she also helps other daycare owners market their daycares, right? So that's a brick and mortar, another brick and mortar. And she was just, whenever she was doing her ads, she was like, well, I'm not really getting any traction. No one's booking any appointments to come see the daycare. And I said, well, what gap are you filling? And she's like, what do you mean? She was just making ads just like everyone else. You know, here's our daycare. It's got teachers who care. I mean, shouldn't all daycare teachers care? You know, so it was very, you know, like kind of like car commercials that, you know, they're not going to sell you the 4 tires on the car, right? Every car should come with 4 tires. They don't have to advertise that, right? And so a lot of times when we're advertising our businesses, we have to think, how are we filling the gap? And so the more that Christina and I were talking in Messenger, she finally told me, she's like, well, we're open on the weekends. Dude, that's huge. Like people need daycares over the weekends, right? And they're bilingual. So do your power content based on the gap that you're filling in the marketplace. Now, if you're talking e-com, right? This is where a lot of e-com business owners struggle, is because they're like, well, Laurel, I'm just selling these markers, right? Like, actually, that gave me a good idea. Let's just like, see, you have to do this, like be able to do this on the fly with your thing. Like, so let's say we're selling simple markers, right? There's nothing special about these, nothing special. How do I create copy that's going to fill the gap on this, right? One of the ways that I could fill the gap in the marketplace is, well, I can bundle a whole bunch of these markers together, market it to entrepreneurs, never do a video with a dead Sharpie again, right? That's a way to talk to a specific market and sell them by a huge box instead of just the 4-pack. Filling a gap, right? There's this little thing that I bought because I've got psoriasis of my scalp. And there's this little thing that I bought that's like a scalp massager. And most people, when they try to market something like that, they're just like putting it up online, and they're like, well, you know, this is a scalp massager for $5, right? I see that stuff all the time. But that scalp massager actually helps my scalp psoriasis. I'm willing to pay a lot more money if someone markets that as the alleviator of scalp psoriasis, right? I'm willing to pay more. It's filling the gap that I don't have. And so that's what I want you guys to like understand, is that picking a niche is not just about, oh, well, I serve chiropractors, or I serve that. Sometimes your niche is solving a very specific problem. I had someone who was in an MLM. I get all kinds of clients inside this program. And she was selling a CBD offer, right? Back when CBD was like all the offers like that you saw online were like the CBD, the MLM companies. And when she came to me, I was like, well, what's so special about it? Like I'm seeing CBD offers all the time. And then the more her and I started talking about the gaps in the marketplaces that she's filling, she's like, I use it for my personal reasons because I got an autoimmune disease. And I'm like, you do? And we started talking, right? Psoriasis is an autoimmune disease. So we started talking. And then she started telling me, she's like, well, if you remove this kind of stuff from your diet, you're going to start to see your autoimmune disease like kind of get better. And so what we ended up doing was we ended up choosing her market based off of her own experience. That way, she didn't just have an MLM product. She actually created a program that was designed around alleviating the stuff that people with autoimmune disease go through. And her CBD product wasn't just the thing that she was selling. It became a tool in her business versus the thing that she was selling. All because we found the gap in the marketplace. Okay. So those are just a couple of examples about how we can utilize power content. So this is the very first thing that we're going to do. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about budget, because I get a lot of questions around budget. Laurel, if I only have, $10 a day to spend, which is $300 a month, what should I do? If you only have $10 a day to spend, don't do 3 pieces of power content videos, just do 2. Start these at $5 a day. Here's why, okay? A lot of times people will be like, okay, the $500 a month video funnel. Okay, if I spend $5 a day with 3 videos, that's $450. But what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to spend all of the $500. I'm going to probably do $6 a day on each, because I want to fill my bucket of warm audiences, right? People who are going to watch 25% or more of my video. If I'm only spending $1 a day per video, it's going to take me a really long time to get to that enough people in this 25% audience, because Facebook requires 500 to 1,000 people in an audience before it will spend. So that means if you want to retarget people who are watching 25% of your video, you need 500 to 1,000 people. This varies through ad accounts. You're going to need at least 500 people to watch that video 25% of the time. And inside the power content workshop, I actually have like the KPIs and how to troubleshoot the power content videos. But the way that we're going to place this is going to be 3 different ad sets. Okay. A lot of us aren't going to have the budget to be able to test all different types of audiences. All of us right now should at least know one pocket of audience where our audience is hanging out. Does everyone know where their audience is hanging out? And don't overthink targeting. People think that targeting is the issue, and it's hardly ever the issue. If I'm running, right now, my 3 pieces of power content are just going to Amy Porterfield's audience. I know Amy Porterfield has my audience. I've talked to enough people. Most of the people that are in my programs come from either Amy Porterfield's program or Dan Henry's program. Can't target Dan Henry, so I'm gonna target Amy Porterfield. Don't overthink it. Anna, she could target, Russell Brunson, right? She does a lot of chat bots and a lot of events. Russell Brunson teaches a lot of that stuff. Sticking to just one is fine, because people get way too overcomplicated with targeting. Now, here's the thing. If I'm doing a conversion campaign, the expensive type of Facebook campaign, I'm going to do some layered targeting and I'm going to get a little fancy with it. But with my power content, I want to ensure that I'm targeting the right people. So Michelle says she does career coaching for women. Been trying to figure out what audience to borrow. Don't overthink it. Career. What type of career coaching? Tell me a little bit. We'll actually do this. Tell me a little bit more about the women.
So I primarily work with millennial women, starting to work with Gen Z, and it's definitely very centered around getting promoted at work, how to negotiate your starting salary, and being very intentional with your career growth plan.
Okay, tell me a little bit about more about those women. Where are they spending their money?
Well, I'm trying to figure that part out by doing some interviewing, because most of the people that have been my customers have just been in my sphere of influence, not necessarily a cold audience.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm kind of struggling figuring out, like, what are they doing with their money?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, so just to kind of open things up, because a lot of times people overcomplicate this part. Like, for instance, like I have a Lean on Laurel student. She just targets parents of high schoolers who want to get in to the college of their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing any detailed interest targeting. I'm literally just targeting parents of high schoolers. I have another Lean on Laurel client who wants to teach corporate women how to turn their expertise into a digital product business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing any targeting other than open, because most people who like you have to think like our audience is split between entrepreneurs and people who have jobs. Which of those do you think the audience is bigger? People who have jobs, right? And
Yeah.
especially if you're trying to target career women, I
Mm-hmm.
would worry less about like detailed targeting. I mean, you could like go in and do Nordstrom and the fancier, like where they would be getting
Yeah.
their suits or visiting those
Right.
websites. You could absolutely do that, but don't overthink it. Like, because once we start choosing the demographics of like full-time CEOs and all of those types of women, our ads tend to get really expensive. So that's why I tend to like to stay broad and use my power content copy as the thing that lures my ideal audience based on my targeting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what I've been doing for like a quiz funnel I built was for a cold audience, women in a certain age range from 24 to 40 and college graduates. And like that was all I did. And so I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else I need to add to that, or if you had any ideas too.
I would do that. Like, honestly,
Okay.
like people think that I'm really good at the ads and the targeting and the pushing the buttons and stuff like that. Honestly, like what makes a good ad is like this, honestly, like the messaging is really what makes it. Like, here's the thing. So many people, and Anna probably remembers this, there were so many gurus who were throwing rocks at me for teaching this method. And guess where all those gurus were after the iOS update and all their pixel data went away, right? Yep. So, but for those of you guys who don't know, I have a television background. So I tend to think of things in a different way, because I had created strategies to launch TV shows and news programs and all of that fun stuff. And so I tend to look at it as the overall strategy versus all these little tactical things. And so, Michelle, you're doing better targeting than probably a lot of people who are overdoing it, honestly.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, absolutely. So our campaign, right? Cold audience, video view campaign. And all we're going to do is we're going to watch those KPIs. Are people watching? Are we getting 15 cents per through play? Eventually, we want to get $1 per 100% video view. Eventually, like we want it to start trending that way. So we want 15 cents per through play. That's the main KPI. And we just want to see, are we getting people at least to watch 25%, all the way to getting $1 per 100% video view. That is our ultimate goal. But a lot of times people don't have the patience. They think that their ad's not working and they only have like 3,000 impressions. Like, we want it to trend in this direction. Okay. We want it to trend in that direction. So Enrique said, quick question, what is borrow audience? We're just basically putting our content in front of someone's audience using the Facebook targeting. So for instance, like a lot of the people who come into this program like the page Amy Porterfield, because Amy Porterfield's huge in the online business space. And so I borrow her audience by putting my content in front of her audience. So we call that borrowing people's audiences. And so what we're going to do now, remember, we need to wait for this bucket to fill up, right? If we're only spending $5 a day, the first week's probably going to look like that. Second week's looking like that. We have to be patient. But if you want to speed the process along, all you have to do, add more budget up here, right? Add more budget there. So, okay, so now we've got our little bucket filled, okay? This is where we're going to start to build you're going to start to see a funnel happen, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take 25% people who are watching 25%, and we're going to send them to, I like to call it tier 2 content. Okay. Tier 2 content. This is the videos that are going to have the little buttons. We're going to put buttons. We're not going to put buttons on these. Here's the thing though, I never say never. Because if I'm running an e-commerce product, I'm probably going to put a button. I'm still going to run it as a video view campaign, but I'm probably going to put a button. If I'm a coach or consultant, I'm not going to put a button. I want those videos to look as organic as possible in the newsfeed. Okay. If I'm a brick and mortar, I might put a button. Most of the time I don't. Whenever I'm running ads like this, the way that I like to think, especially for brick and mortar, these would be like the TV commercials, right? And then these would be the billboards that you see, right? So see, I like to look at things like from an advertising perspective and how I make like social media work for me in this way, right? So let's say that I've got, 3 of these power content videos. Well, you might find out this one isn't hitting KPIs. And so what you might do is say, well, you know what? These other 2 videos are doing really, really well. I'm just going to move my budget here to these 2 videos. So you might split, instead of like $5 that you might add $2.50 here and $2.50 here. You can split it. You can get creative. And that's what I want you guys to do. Like my way to do things, the way that I always tell my students is I like to give you guys good ideas, but I want you guys to take this and run and make it your own. Like it's not that hard. Like I do this on YouTube. Like there's like, if you guys look in the program, like I've got how to do this on YouTube too. Anytime that I'm going live on my Facebook profile, I download the video and I upload it to YouTube and I put $5 on the videos. And I do the same thing. I create audiences of people who are watching my YouTube videos and I send them offers. So this is just a two-tier video funnel. So this is where, and I'll give you guys a good idea to do. So let's say you have your 3 pieces of power content. Okay. Say, because I always recommend that you guys go live, right? I love going live. I told you guys my little secret. I don't ever go live. I use OneStream. I pre-batch all my live content. I love that you guys think I'm live though. That's awesome. It gets me a lot of engagement. So let's say I just have my 3 pieces of power content and I want to work up to this video funnel. So let's say I'm like, you know what? I've got my 3 pieces of power content running. It's filling my bucket of people who've gotten 500 to 1,000 in my audience. And you know what? I'm ready to, I think, start bringing them, like taking them to an offer. I go live on my Facebook profile. I download that live onto my business page or inside the ads manager. And then I'm like, I'm going to send it to the people who've watched 25% or more of that video. So now I've got 1 video. So the ad set is going to be 25% if they've watched any power content video. So this is how I create my audience. Whenever I do my power content, I create a custom audience out of anyone who's watched 25% or more of any 3 videos. You can do them individually if you want. I used to do them individually. Now I even shortcut it. I get lazy with ads now. I just throw things in the ads managers, let them go. And whenever I get lazy and just throw things around, that's when my ads do the best. Because sometimes I think people overthink it and we just make our ads worse. So now I just like, anytime I'm launching 3, so every single month, this is my schedule. Every single month, I look at all of the best videos that I've done in the last couple of weeks. I look on my YouTube channel. I see which videos got the most watch times. And then I turn those into my pieces of power content. Don't overthink it. So now, anytime I'm going live, now here's the thing. Outside of your 3 pieces of power content, if you're going live, make sure you have a strong call to action to whatever that first offer is. So for me, anytime I go live, I pitch my $7 offer. Why do I do that? Because I know I'm going to turn it into an ad. But like inside my ads manager, if you guys look, like right now, I have power content as my tier 1. And then I have a couple of video ads as my tier 2 that have a call to action to join my $7 program. I'm not doing anything complicated. You could even make it 1 step easier and only have your power content running. Go live on your business page and hit the little boost button to this audience. Make it even easier. So like if we're running like we'll use an e-commerce example, right? So let's say I've got, you know, a 60-second video, and it could be a snackable video too. Like videos don't always have to be like for e-commerce. Like a lot of times people just have well shot videos and have text on them and tells you about, but those videos still have what headline, promise of value, and why they should buy that product, right? So think about it. If we get all these video views of people watching this 60-second video, that's going to be a lot more people than if you're like a coaching program or something like that. But then you're retargeting people who are set 25% of that video, and you're sending them to the offer to buy. It's going to be a much warmer audience than just sending, you know, a lot of cold traffic. Can you send cold traffic straight to an offer? Absolutely. We do it all the time. But when we're talking about low budget offers, low budget ad strategies, we want to be we want to be more strategic with our money, because conversion campaigns are the most expensive. So like if I'm running $500 a month, like, and I did, like for the very first time when I launched my $7 program, I just did this. Now, obviously I have, you know, a bigger budget to where I can send people straight to my offer, but I still, to this day, if you look at my ads manager, and I show you guys my ads manager all the time, I'm still running cold traffic to my power content. And guess what? My retargeting ads convert much better and much cheaper than the ads that go straight to the offer. And so that's all that this video funnel is. Like, you can make this as hard or as complicated. Like, for instance, so one of my friends in high school, he opened up a restaurant in my little podunk town in Louisiana, and we do the same thing. These 3 videos are considered the commercial. And every time we post a new menu item or the menu for the week or anything, I'm just boosting it to the people who've already engaged with this. That's the entire ad strategy. Most of my brick and mortar stores, like Carlos and all of the other brick and mortar stores, I show them this easy strategy. Like, I go in and train their staff to do this strategy right here. These videos hardly ever get changed out into brick and mortar business, because you just think of them as commercials. And then we boost every single post that they do on their business page. That's it, to the people who've engaged with their videos, and it's super easy. I am going to unspeaker myself and remove my spotlight, and I'm going to open it up. Does anyone have any questions? Very simple. It's I know it takes some practice getting used to. So Joe just says, how long do you let the ads run? Just let them run till they, you know, till you feel like they need refreshing. This strategy right here doesn't need as much maintenance as a conversion campaign does. Like this is always something that, like, I can run for months on end and not look at it. Because I don't know about you guys, like right now I'm sitting here waiting for my family, by the way, celebrating my 40th birthday in the next couple of days. So all my family it's about to get crazy all up in here. But like, I'm not even going to look at my ads for the next couple of days. And that's what I want you guys to do. Because I don't know about you guys, I built my business for my lifestyle. I do not want to be tied to an ads manager all day. And I don't. Janice says, one lesson I never forgot from Dan Henry was never kill a winning ad. Abso-freaking-lutely. Have you guys seen that jam I did with Dan Henry? Have you guys seen the video I did with him on his yacht, and we're jamming, and he was like, he wants me to add 2 zeros to this program, by the way, and I told him no. But he did help me create the Lean on Laurel program that I have now, which is awesome. There's not a lot that I agree with that sometimes comes out of Dan Henry's mouth. But the one thing that Dan and I do agree on is the way that we look at ads. He runs ads exactly the same way that I do. Like, he was like, Laurel, he actually tried to convince me to be his media buyer whenever I was there. I was like, no, because his media buyer tries to make things too complicated. Like, you know, like a lot of people do, they try to overcomplicate ads. And if you guys, I'll post it in the group or whatever. Actually, it might be in the guest training section. I can't remember, but the thing that he was like, all he does is run cold traffic and then retarget anyone who's engaged with any of that content to warm. That's all he does. Same thing. Cold video traffic, retargets them to offers. That's all he does. That's all. Like Frank Kern, if you've like watched some of his IBB training, Russell Brunson, that's all they do. Have you guys noticed, like, they run a lot of like video traffic and then you get retargeted? with offers. Most of the big people, they understand that visibility creates longevity. How many of you guys stopped seeing a lot of the direct response marketers out there marketing, right? Facebook ads got really expensive for a lot of direct response marketers, and they're out doing something else now. Yep. So Sherilyn, if you go into the Lanyap section, the resources, she's asking about how I use OneStream. I actually have that in the back in the resources, the Lanyap section. And thank you guys for all the birthday wishes. You guys can unmute yourself too. We can have a conversation. I feel like I'm talking to myself, even though I'm reading the comments.
I'll ask a question, Laurel. It's Michelle.
Yeah.
So for the tier 2 content that you're talking about, is there an optimal video length for that for kind of the service space? Are we still doing 3 to 5 minute videos again?
That's a really good question. So whenever we're talking about power content for service-based coaches and consultants, keep the top of funnel power content to 3 to 5 minutes, but the middle of funnel content could be as long as it needs to be.
Okay. And then from the tier 2 content, are they going into the offer? Are you leading them there, or is that another?
So the tier 2 content, I teach my students how to do their power offer at the end of every video.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Really good question. Lots of fun stuff, guys. Like, I wish I could, you know, like a lot of people think that I do all these like complicated things. Like everything in the $7 program is literally what I do for my business. Y'all don't have to upsell or anything. In Lean on Laurel, there's nothing that you guys, like my Lean on Laurel students get the exact same curriculum you guys do here. They just get more of me. That's the only difference. There's no difference. Anna's been in my upper program. She'll tell you, I give you guys everything in the $7 program. Monica, hey, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while, girl. Monica Maleva, she's in my Lean on Laurel program. She'll tell you too.
Hi, Laurel. Sorry, trying to find the freaking unmute button.
That's okay.
Yes, Lean on Laurel is awesome. I'm one of her, not first, but first-ish clients in there, and I'm not leaving. Like, she keeps putting the price up and I'm not leaving, because if I leave I have to pay like 100 times more. So if any of you guys want to get in while it's still relatively cheap, get on it.
Oh, thank you. I did not pay her to say that. Oh, that was so kind. It always just warms my heart though, because like, you know, and that's how I feel that I'm filling the gap, is I'm making ads easier and more accessible for everybody, right? Because how many of you guys have ever paid an agency to do the work and they're just, you know, they're just trying to throw spaghetti, like, and here's what I always tell people, because I have an agency, right? So I don't want to poo-poo agencies, but one of the things that I work on with my agency clients that I see a lot of people don't, like, who run agencies, a lot of agencies operate like technical ads managers, right? Your offer is only as good as you can give them the information. What I feel I do different, and you know, Monica, Anna, Kevin was in with me for a while, Scott, like they'll tell you, I spend more time helping people with their content than I ever will with them pushing buttons, because it doesn't matter what, like think about this. If you guys see a video of me and I have like an irresistible offer, I teach you something that you're like, oh, that's awesome. Doesn't matter if I chose the objective as a conversion or a video view. It doesn't matter, right? Like if you put a good offer in front of people, you know, that's all we have to know is like the ads mastery happens in the messaging. It doesn't happen in the buttons that you push. Nelly, were you trying to say? I think Nelly, you lit up.
Yeah, sorry. Hi. I actually have two questions for you. The first being, so I work with financial advisors in the US, and predominantly the idea is to try and generate like annuity business for them. I suppose my question on that is, would you use the same strategy and the content that you create would just be educational of the product?
So would it say that one more time? I had a hard time understanding what you were saying.
Okay, so I work with financial advisors in the US that sell
Oh,
annuities, right? So my question was, the content, the videos that you would create, would it just be educational on how annuities work? Because I mean, a lot of people do stuff like that. So I'm just trying to understand, is it, should I be digging deeper for like a gap, or how would you do that?
absolutely. But I'm also going to tell you it depends. Does the person who you're trying to sell or yourself, do they like doing video content?
So, right, at the moment, I do, my offer is lead gen for them. So I'm not really running ads like on the advisors pages. So it's the page I own. So the idea would obviously be, if we create the content. So I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I don't mind creating videos.
Yeah. So I used to white label my services, and I actually worked with a funnel builder for financial, and I also have a financial strategist as one of my ad clients. So what we do with them is the financial advisors for lead generation. What we were doing was they had a quiz top of funnel. So they were generating leads through a quiz for if people were there. I think there was, do you have enough money in the bank to retire? Take this quiz to find out how close you are to retirement or something like that. And what I did was I ran power content with the owner, because he was an older guy, but he was very animated, and he was very passionate about what he did. And so what we did was I ran cold traffic to the quiz. I ran cold traffic to his power content. And then I had him and his associates do content. Now, it wasn't always videos. He liked to do videos. His associates would sometimes write long form posts. And what I did was I would literally just boost the post on the business page to all of the people who had either taken the quiz or had watched a certain percentage of that power content.
Okay, I see. That's quite clever. Anyway, so I mean, like I said, I run the content from a page that I own. So I don't have a business owner that can shoot the videos. Like, is it? And also, like, I'm not from the US, so I think to me it feels like people might not trust if I give advice. You know what I'm trying to say? So how would I overcome that barrier?
So this probably wouldn't be the best strategy for you, but I'm gonna open y'all's minds a little bit. If video is not your thing, this strategy could also be done via podcast. This strategy can also be done via blog posts, right? Instead of doing a video, because think about this. If you love writing copy and you don't like necessarily, being on video, I did this with one of my clients. Facebook will let you retarget people who spend 25% or more of the time spent on a web page. Now, you will need the pixel installed for that, but I just wanted to tell you guys, this can be applied no matter what vehicle that you're delivering the content. I have one client where we run her best 3 podcast episodes as power content, and her podcast sells the rest. Does that make sense? So we run her top of funnel. I run traffic ads to 3 podcast episodes. We have an audience of people who've engaged with her content in the last 90 days. They get all of this second tier content along with the people who visit her website. I'm giving you guys just kind of getting your, the juices flowing, because some people are meant to do video and some people aren't. So I don't try to force it.
Just on that, my last question then. So I believe Facebook Pixel is going away at some stage. Like, if you do send them to an external landing page or whatever the case may be, will you still have the ability to retarget those people then?
So all of that retargeting is done via the pixel if they visit a specific web page. So if something does happen to the pixel, I'll tell you guys, some form of the Facebook pixel I think is always going to exist. That's my 2 cents. I think there's always going to be that form of retargeting. Now, how long that cookie is going to stay, I think might get shorter, because I know Apple already, I think, kills it after 7 days or something like that. And Apple is already giving people the option to just opt out of it altogether. I just updated my iPhone, like the software. And so I finally saw the thing that everyone was talking about, how it lets you opt out. I didn't. I like getting served ads, honestly, that fit what I, the type of things that I'm looking for. But that's a really good question. So that is why I like using video. Like all of my agency clients, they were like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm working with you, because like one of my agency clients, she was telling me, she's like, my business coach, he's like, can you take him on as a client? She's like, because like the iOS just like, he's like, the agency he worked with, like they were doing all pixels and it's just like, they're not. And she's like, I was just telling him that like, we had no issues. Laurel has been right in. And I'm just like, I know, like people, like just like the $7 program, people threw rocks at me about this strategy, but I'm like, I like not relying on things. I love strategies that involve the platform. Like we've been using a lot of lead form type of lead generation. So we'll set up a lead form and then zap it to their CRM when we want to test a landing page. Sometimes the quality, and here's why, sometimes the quality of lead forms, because I get that question a lot. Well, should I be using lead forms versus a landing page for that reason? What happens with lead forms is, I don't know if you've ever opted into something with a lead form. It typically uses an email address that most of the time you're not using anymore. Like it'll auto populate either the email address that you log into Facebook with or something that you've used in the past. And so a lot of times the email addresses that you get with that won't be as high quality because it's an outdated email address or something. But not saying that, lead forms don't work. I have seen that lead forms do work in some cases. B2C works really, really well, but in B2B, I find the lead quality not to be that. Anna says, as a user, I hate it, so I never ask for info like that. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I don't know. I look at things a little bit different. I like simplified. I'm, for those of you guys who work with me on a personal level, you guys know I'm not technical at all. I don't like to be technical. I don't want to be technical. And so I try to make things as easy as freaking possible for me. Rasheen.
Hey, Laurel.
Did I say your name correctly?
You absolutely did, but you know me as Roz.
Okay. Awesome. It's great to see a face with the name finally.
Absolutely. So my question, and I'll share this with you. For some reason now, anytime I think of a question, I always go, my clear question. So it makes sense. But I want to promote my book to my ideal clients. And I would this work well in utilizing the strategy? Because the book is like, it's on Amazon. We know it's not the profit generator, but I'd love to get the book in their hands to build that authority. Okay.
So are you running a book funnel?
I'm not.
Okay. So so how much is the book?
The book, it's on Amazon at $14.
Okay. So here's probably something that I would do. One, I would probably run Amazon ads. I can hook you up with someone who runs Amazon ads. Amazon ad, like people who know how to run Amazon, I always go to Amazon. But what I like to do is I like to build authority, credibility, and visibility using power content talking about your book. Absolutely. That's what I always recommend with, and it doesn't matter, like, nonfiction authors, fiction authors, like look at your power content as TV commercials and just push people to the link to buy on Amazon. I had, Anna will probably remember this. I had a woman named Maria Fontana. She was one of my very first clients. And she had a book launch on Amazon. And within the first week of joining my program, and this was the $7 program, this wasn't like my high level. She joined my $7 program, started doing my power content. She sold 12 copies of her book the first time that she went live using my formula. Like the headline, promise of value, call, and with the call to action. She sold 12 of them, I think, the first time that she went live. People underestimate the power of using video ads. I don't understand why. I guess maybe because I have a TV background and I love video. I love video so much. And they're still super cheap. Like people think, Facebook ads are getting more expensive. Video ads are kind of have stayed the same. It's the conversion ads that have gotten more expensive. And another thing with conversion ads, you guys have probably noticed, tracking is really hard. I will go into my ads manager and it'll show me that I've only got 14 sales. But if I go to Kartra, it's got like 30. Like that's how bad, like, you know, the tracking has gotten, right? And so one of the ways that I look at my business, and this might help some of you guys, is I have a marketing budget. Don't have an ad budget. I have a marketing budget. And the thing that I look at is, are my marketing dollars well spent based on my profits this month? I don't look at, oh, which ad got me this sale? Like, I'm just worried about, is my content getting put in the right place? Are my marketing dollars, am I getting the profits? Am I building up my audience? Because it's not all about profits, right? Because remember, if we spend time building up your audiences, it's going to compound over time. Like if you start now and you do nothing else but and you spend, let's say, you know, $300 a month on 3 videos, do you not think in a year your business is going to be different? It's going to be different. I promise you. I tell this to my students all the time. Like if you make it a point to go live once a week and you have your power content running and you boost your live video to the people who've been watching your power content, I guarantee you in a year, and this is what the $500 funnel does, I guarantee you your business is going to be way different. It can't be not different, right? Even if you're not awesome at video, it's going to be different. Another thing too that has helped me over the last several weeks, I kind of changed the way that I do like my videos, and I'm finding that a lot of people do how-to videos, right? I think how-to videos are kind of played out. Not saying that they don't work, but if you go one step further than just telling someone how to do something, but showing people the process that you're doing, giving them clarity on what your process looks like, how you're able to get people results, right? Like you guys have probably noticed I've been doing a lot of long form YouTube videos, and I'll just take one of my client strategy docs and I'll bust open my ads manager and I'll just show you guys like what we're doing. I'm doing that for a reason because, you know, there's so many people who are, you know, I mean, I see people all the time, like watch one of my videos and then go do it and try to pass it off as theirs, right? But the only difference is I know like all of the behind the scenes stuff about how to make it happen. And so I take my content one step further. So if you are doing power content and you're not getting the results that you want, rethink your content. Am I giving something to my audience that everyone else is giving them? Or am I filling the gap by going one step further and being more in-depth with my content? Does that make sense? Like instead of like, you know, a lot of times, you know, I used to do these types of videos all the time, my whiteboard and all of that. But if you look at a lot of my latest content, I usually crack open my ads manager, I'll break open a Google Doc and I'll actually like show people the process and actually show, and people will be like, well, why would people pay you any, you know, why would people join Lean on Laurel? You're giving away all the strategies here. It's like, they're not paying me for the information. They're paying for the assurance that they're doing it right. They're paying for my eyes in their ads manager. They're paying for, you know, my time spent helping them execute these messages. Because at the end of the day, it's that. It's all that. It's all the messaging. I know it's not sexy, but honestly, that's what's gonna make and break all of our businesses here. Any more questions?
Laurel, I have a question.
Absolutely.
I've been testing, and I just want to hear your opinion on it. I've been testing video views against engagement, and I find that engagement ads give me more 100% watch videos for less money.
That's actually true for a lot of my clients' cases too. I still like video view campaigns, but here's something that's not going to make much of a difference is that Facebook actually has changed has taken away like the video view objective and replaced it like to where like all the video view stuff is going to go under engagement. So all of us are going to be forced to choose the engagement objective, but then we're going to be able to optimize for video views. But yes, absolutely. Like if engagement gets you better results, I interchange them. Video views, engagement, I would test both for sure. That's actually a really good point. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Like when you think about it, like people who are watched are engaged. So I can see how like Facebook would measure them very, very similarly.
Yeah, because I had a video that was converting at 9 cents for 100% video views. So yeah, that's why
How long was the video?
it was around 3 minutes or so. But
That's
yeah,
awesome. I hope you have a lot of money on that video.
well, it started getting higher and higher, so I kind of turned it off at some point because it was running for like 6 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because what I have this one video that it's very similar. It's like, I don't know, 11, 12 cents per 100% video view. And whenever like all of the iOS, like the targeting and stuff was going away, I literally took that video and shot it to all of those audiences that were going away before March 17th. And I I turned off my conversion campaigns, but all my budget towards those audiences because I wanted to capture those audiences that were going away. That's another thing why I like video views. Like a lot of targeting has gone away. Have you guys noticed that a lot of targeting's gone away? Like two of my agency clients are infertility coaches and consultants. And I knew that like all those health things were going away. And so for a single year, I put half of their ad budget on collecting the data from those audiences with power content ads. It was crazy. Like my client was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You're going to thank me." You're going to thank me. Trust me. Sorry, I'm going through all the comments, make sure I didn't miss any questions. Did I miss any questions? Let's see, Kevin, you had a question. So a SaaS-based software, we can do 60 seconds or less videos versus the 5-minute. Yeah, what is it? What is the product? Is it that cool marker board that you never sent me the info for? Calling Kevin out. He's gonna be like Kevin's awesome. Kevin sends me wine, so I got to be nice to Kevin. Oh, he probably walked away. Kevin, Kevin Quinn, if you guys go to his Facebook profile, he does these videos. I don't know how he does it, but he writes on this and it produces words on his screen. And I'm like, I need that. What is it? Send me the software. If that's the software, send me that information, Kevin, if you're watching the replay. Does anyone know what that is? Have you guys seen it? Like, go to Kevin's profile. It's really freaking cool. He's
Laurel, you can use, yes, I know how to do it. And I can tell you, I can send you a document how to do it.
Ah, cool. I would love you forever.
Yeah, it's not very hard and it's super cool.
Have you done a video like that too?
No, I want to. And I will probably start doing it shortly because I found out how to do it.
That's awesome. I want to know how to do it. I mean, I love my whiteboard, but sometimes it's a good pattern interrupt.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send you some stuff maybe later today because it's freaking middle of the night here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Any other questions, guys? You guys are all good. Did anything become a little bit more clear today? What was it? Give me a couple takeaways today.
I'll go first. I like that you're not complicating the targeting anymore because we used to do so many like dislikes and like so many like going down and down and down and down and niching down, and that makes it so much more expensive. And I'm like, okay, just one person. That's simple. Yeah. Just target one person.
Yeah. I mean, especially like when you're doing a video funnel, the ads are already cheap, right? It is super expensive. Like whenever you're targeting, like, let's say Amy, like if you guys try to target Amy Porterfield in a conversion campaign, your CPMs are going to be super, super high. But if you're targeting like with video views, right? Because, and think about this, the way that Facebook optimizes video views is very different than conversions, right? So if Amy Porterfield has 2 million people in her audience, Facebook's only going to show your conversion campaign to about 10% of those people because those are the people that's likely to convert, right? That Facebook thinks is likely to convert. But if you show a video view campaign in front of Amy Porterfield's audience, it's going to reach 90% of the people that other marketers aren't targeting because they're using conversion campaigns. So you're actually reaching a different audience. So that's another, benefit of using a video campaign. Sherilyn says, I loved hearing that you weren't techie. It makes it more believable for us to achieve results. Yeah. Yeah. Just all we're doing is telling Facebook, I want this content to go to these people. That's it. And there's always going to be a different way that, a lot of people are like, well, the buttons on the training have changed. I'm like, if you just take 5 minutes and just hover your thing around like the different buttons, they haven't moved that much. Yeah, like the other day I signed into one of my clients, ads managers, because in Lean on Laurel, I put their stuff in my business manager so I can keep track of all their stuff. And I was looking at their ads manager. I was like, holy shit, this looks totally different than mine. But it took me about 5 or 10 minutes to get my footing. But we just have to slow down and we'll figure everything out. Yep. Monica Wallingford says to keep it simple and that I really need to get busy creating power content. Absolutely. Yeah, Sherilyn says I'm a bit gun shy on Facebook because all the people that have lost their accounts. Yeah, don't do anything Facebook doesn't want you to do. Don't try to cheat the system. Don't try to promote things that it doesn't want you to promote. But yeah, I get it. Like total transparency. Was it 3 days ago? I got my whole, I woke up to, the thing that you don't want to freaking see is that your Facebook profile has been restricted from advertising, from doing all it. So see, it happens to me too. I saw that it happened to a whole bunch of people that same day. So I don't know if it had like anything to do with just a bug or something, but I appealed it immediately. Always appeal. Like if you know that you didn't do anything wrong, always appeal. Because a lot of people get really freaked out about it. But guys, this is why this is important to learn this across multiple platforms. Like now I'm starting to love my YouTube channel. Like I used to love Facebook. I still love Facebook, but once you start like seeing how easy it is to do the same thing on other platforms, it makes Facebook a lot less scary. Because it's true. You could everything could be gone in a second if Facebook just decides, oh, it doesn't like my $7 program. Now it's cool because I could just take it and do it on another platform. Well, awesome, guys. Well, hopefully you guys have an amazing weekend. I will see you guys in the Facebook group. If you guys have any questions, follow-up questions, just put them in the Ask Laurel post and I'll get to them during tomorrow's live. Love all of you guys. Have a good one.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.